welcome to Floyd Models Kit Review Time. Today we've got Tamiya's brand new tool, 1/35 scale. This is the Valentine Mark II 4 kit. Okay, as I say, brand new tool. Is Tamiya feeling the pinch a little bit? Let's face it, recently I've been building a lot of Meng and things like that, and they are really getting there, and Takem as well, really getting there. So it's nice to see Tamiya. Be interesting to see what one of their new toolkits looks like and how they actually build and things like that. So, usual thing. Great little bit of box art on the front, a little bit obviously about what we're going to get down in here, a little bit of history on the real thing as we can see down in here, and then obviously we've got the roundouts. So usual thing for this one, for your kit number on this is 35352 3800. Okay. The little bits down there, so obviously we've got one of the Red Army ones down in the sort of olive drab mixed colour down in there, and then we've got another one down there with sort of unknown division. Again, nice little markings down on there and on the back, and usual thing I think in there. So flippy lid straight down in here. Is that going to sit? I think it might. All right, so into the instructions. Nope, come on, you know you're going to. Okay, so usual thing, we've got 3 different versions we can do down on here. So it looks like we've got a sort of split piece multi-hull system down in here. So we've got a little bit of a former going in both ends of that one, and then we've got side plates going into those, and then we've got the top area, so we've got that armour plating on the top, okay, going through on those as well. Okay, then it's fitting top to bottom. Okay, seems to be a nice little layout, and being Tamiya we know that probably fit very nicely. Okay, and then down in here we've got sort of the frontal armour and the rear plating going down there for the engine hatches, things like that, and on at the front. Various items being put on for the actual start of the actual drive system, return wheels, idler sprockets, things like that going down in there, and then usual thing, all the gear and the sort of, you know, the actual drive systems, the road wheels and all things like that being put through, sticking in the bogies all the way down in there, and then again multi-part system down in here being put through, and again down there for the road wheels, chucking them all in, okay, getting those all fitted in there and everything else. Then it looks like we've actually got a separate link system on the track. Now if that goes together glued or it holds its own, we'll have a look at in the moment. All right, but looking good so far. And then you can see right the way round with that return wheel in the middle being fitted on, and then down on the underside for the other side as well. Pretty straightforward stuff. Okay, hatches being fitted on there. Obviously this has no internal, so it's going to all be buttoned up, all right, and everything right the way through. And then we've actually got the covers for the tracks on the side being fitted through. We've got the actual driver's port open or closed, you can have it down there. We've got some hatches, some more plating going down onto there for the rear hatch, stowage containers on the boxes on the side, putting those down in there, and again for the other side, the exhaust system being fitted in, okay, and placed in like that one. Various things, fire extinguishers, lights, and all of those going down. More access bar, pry bars, things like that, shovels, spades, pickaxes, all of those being putted down on this side. Okay, and then more of all the magical little lumps and bumps that make us up armour right the way through, towing eyes, things like that in there. Headlights being fitted in, and then we've actually got the side ones going down in there, and the front sort of skirt system being all put in right the way through. Okay, then we got the front ones, and the rear's being fitted down in there. Slightly different version. This is sort of the A version down in here. It looks like it has it metal. These tend to be more rubber on this side right the way through. Okay, then it's up into the turret, so we've got the mantle system being put in and everything else like that. It looks like it's movable. Okay, having all of those parts put in. Doesn't look like you get an aluminium barrel for it. Okay, but it looks like it is one piece, so at least you haven't got to get rid of any nasty seam lines running down in there. Hatches and everything putting through, but again you're probably going to have it closed up because it doesn't have any interior. Okay, then you've actually got the turret being fitted down on there, your wing mirrors, and we do get crew. Okay, so we get the famous sort of legless crew, so you can have it open at the top, and then that's enough to sort of take your eye away from any detail that would be down on the inside. British Army one, so obviously this particular tank saw a lot of service in North Africa, as you can imagine, so we got one there from 41, 42, and then where's the other one? We got this one down on here, which is the actual Red Army unknown, so it's going to be in sort of olive drab colours with that particular one. So I'll be honest with you, nothing massively exciting out of the instructions, nothing that I'm thinking wow straight away. Okay, so in the bags though, starting off, we can see we have got, if we just drop some of the cameras and move them around just a little bit, we can see we got a very nice system down on here, just glancing around at it. Okay, can't see any problems whatsoever. That looks actually quite nice. Okay, so generally, if we just have a closer look and make our way. So this is the thing, we've got the different types of sort of front fenders on here, if you like. We've got the rubberized one with the metals around the top, or we've got the solid metal ones down in here, depending on which version you're going to do. Then working up, we can actually see the actual neck of the collar area for the actual turret and some of the details, which are very nice and sharp, very good. That's always my test to know how good the injection molding is. If it feels quite sharp to the touch and it's very rough, then you know it's going to be very crisp detail. Again, a lot of this is all going to be covered over, so I won't worry about it too much. Figures, as you can see, we've got them down here, very nice moulding on these guys, got a little pistol down there at the side, and again with this one over here. Looking further up, we've actually got, we'll probably do this one on the sides, we've actually got some more of the details. Again, nothing that jumps out to me, but it is all perfectly formed and beautifully done. Again, nice sharp edges with all of these, so no problem with any of that whatsoever. Again, looking on the inside, lots of ejection pins all over this one, but they're quite small and petite, and definitely none of them are protruding out. Okay, so no problems with any of that. All separate bagged, which is a nice touch. Okay, so we'll put it down there. Okay, and then again on this one, various parts down in here. Again, it all looks very sharp, very nice. No problem at all. The sprue gates are very fine in some of the areas as well, which is a very nice touch, but generally just flicking it over, looking at the parts, no problem at all. All the ejector pins, and let's face it, there's hundreds all over this, they're very faint. Okay, so I wouldn't take any notice of those whatsoever. Okay, and then again, moving through, straight off the bat, you can probably see how fine these little sprue gates are as they mix into the actual main part itself off of the actual sprue. Again, beautifully done, very nice details on all of these. That exhaust system looking really nice. Again, just the strapping around is very sharp, and then the bolt heads as well, you can see them in here, very sharp indeed. No problems with any of this detail. It's beautifully done. A little bit of spare track running down in here, looks to be quite nice as well. And as we make our way up, we've got the actual that plate above the engine. Very nice, no problem. Again, it just feels very rough and sharp, which is really nice. And then as we make our way up to the other parts, even the stowage items, nicely done and moulded. Even just details in the pickaxe, for something so small, it is very nice. And just this little filler cap here, beautifully moulded, very sharply moulded. Okay, so no problem with any of that whatsoever. That is actually a great sprue. Next up, we've got the lower hull settings and the sides and things like that. So as you can see, you know, when you look at the sprue overall, really nice. And some of the things that jump out straight to me is this sort of cast texture that they've put in down here is really nice, but the attention to detail underneath here, again, lethally sharp. Some of these bolts down under here, very nice. All of this detail extremely crisp. Okay, and then again, running down through it, you can see some of the details, and where we do have things which are twin-sided, there is just the faintest of ejector pins on there. You can hardly see them. Very nicely done indeed. Okay, and then when we work our way up, as you can see, it's just one of those things, all these little details running down in here, but again, it is incredibly nicely done. Beautiful work on all of this. Okay, and this is really the highlight so far to me, this actual casting. Well, the camera will play with this, but yeah, it is beautifully done, very realistic, no problem at all. And just the casting again around this mantle area and things like that, they are absolutely gorgeously done. Beautiful work, and just the bolt heads and everything else on the top of the actual turret down here, as we can see it here, again, really very nice indeed. One of the things that stands out to me on this, not only is the bolt detail, stuff like that, but these hinges are so sharp around the actual join where you've got the two parts. It looks like it's a separate part, which is actually really stepping it up a little bit. Very nice indeed. Okay, so is that in the bag? Right, in the bag. We do have a couple of polycaps roaming around in there. Okay, so we have the obligatory couple of polycaps, so we've got some of the bigger ones and some of the smaller ones just down in there. We'll pop them back in there. Okay, we've got a twin sprue, as you can imagine. Okay, and then overall looking at it, we weren't individually linked, they're actually glued together for these actual sprues as well. Alright, and then we obviously got some of the suspension system, sort of springs there, things like that, but generally looking over it, very nice indeed, so no problems with that. If we start down on this one with the wheels, again, nice detailing on all of these wheels, very crisp, very nicely moulded, Great detail in those actual wheels for something that is so small. Very nicely done, and just these handles perfectly moulded, no problems at all. Again, tiny little sprue gates as well, which aren't going to be a problem and not going to be horrible to sort of remove from the tree. All right, then moving up, as you can see, we've got various items down in here. Got the return wheels, things like that, nicely done. Some of the bogie system, again, beautiful bolt details in all of these right the way through. The actual drive sprocket as well, it feels sharp, which is good, and everything else. And again, these parts and the bolting detail, things like that, very, very nicely done. And then down on here, we've actually got the track system, which doesn't look too bad. It's fine on both sides. There's no ejector pins on any of this at all, so it's really nice. And we've got the individuals. Again, it's not going to be one of those things where it's going to click together. You are going to have to glue it together. But if you use a slow acting glue, and then you can just obviously wrap it around a drive sprocket and then remove it afterwards, okay? But again, really nice. Just these little springs down in here, they are very, very cleanly moulded. They almost look like a separate, you know, put right over the edge and things like that. So again, beautiful detail down there. We do have a couple of little bits down in here. So still in the box, we've got a little bit of blurb all about it, and obviously in Japanese, or on this side, we've actually got it in English as well, and everybody else's languages by the looks of it. Okay, all right, so that is that one down in there. And we have got, which we won't bother looking at, but we've got a couple of little decals down in there just for those markings with the Russian ones as well. And that is it. So is Tamiya still at the top of the tree, AAA company and all the rest of it, or is definitely things like Meng and Takom catching them up? It does seem to be. I'll be honest with you, recently I've built a lot of Takom, as you probably know, armour, and they are just going up and up and up, and they are really on par with anything Tamiya can do. But once again, Tamiya's come along. Obviously they're feeling perhaps the heat a little bit coming up there, and they're producing quality moulding, absolutely pin sharp. And I think this is where, again, this is where Takom and sort of Meng and everything else just lose the thing. Is sometimes some of the smaller parts can be a little bit softly moulded or a little bit chunky, shall we say. Tamiya nail it every single down, just down to each individual bolt head is perfectly formed, very sharp, very crisp. But to me this time, when you're looking at things like the hinges, it is so sharp, the detail in it, it looks like two separate parts. It looks like a working part. Instead of just one that's softly moulded and got some, you know, a couple of lines around it, this looks pin sharp, and it just shows you that, you know, when push comes to shove, Tamiya can knock out some beautiful stuff. Okay, it hasn't got an aluminium barrel, but then most manufacturers don't do that anyway, and it doesn't have an interior. Well, Tamiya don't tend to do that full interior, everything. It tends to be the externals, and that's where their sort of, you know, business plan obviously lies. In the future, I wouldn't be surprised that you might start getting them with interiors, or perhaps even as separate interiors that can go in them. For now, they do just tend to do the external things. But it is really nice to see that Tamiya are still very heavily focused in producing fantastic kits, beautifully detailed, and to say pin sharp like this as well. Really takes them and keeps them at the top of the tree when it comes to manufacturing. So there we go, that is Tamiya's 1/35 scale Valentine. This is the Mark II 4 version.